There you go.
And it has those. Oh, they've got new information on Zoom now. Brilliant. So let us get started on this. Right. Let me just put this in the middle. So yeah, we're talking about pricing today, and I really want to make it as interactive as possible because I want to get a view from you guys in terms of where you sit with your pricing and how do you work it out. So I've put this back up, and this is what was reused for the critical conversations, because your pricing is going to be based on the conversation you had with your prospect. Yeah, it's going to be based on, have you established the gap? Did you let them know how great you are? Did you set it up right? Did you establish the gap? Did you tell them how great you are? And the next steps. So I've put that there just to remind you. So this is what you'll be talking about, so you know where to price yourself. So your price is your price. I get that. Your price is your price. But if you haven't established what their budget is, if you haven't established a number of key things, you might give them a figure like I did with the last one, which was way out of their budget. But if you can get an opportunity to reprieve yourself, you can go in at the right level. So we can talk a little bit more after that. So remember, your proposal is about your cover page, your overview, intended outcomes, the opportunity. Then you can talk about your recommended approach, any timelines and next steps, the investment, that's what we're going to be talking about today, and your summary. So I don't want, and I know we haven't covered proposals in depth, but that's what the workshop, we're going to have an implementation workshop with Adrian on proposals. So I'm just literally just touching on investments for today. So I put this in the group. What I don't want anyone to do, where possible, because I know you might have some clients that they just want you for an hour, or they just want you for 2 hours. If that's the case, you give them what they want. But we'll always suggest, well, actually buying a package or buying a program will be more cost effective, more beneficial. Yeah. So where possible, we try not to charge an hourly rate. Somebody's hourly rate might be £300, somebody's might be £150. It just varies. And try not to offer multiple pay options, because that can get confusing. What you want to do is be very clear on your own pricing strategy. And do you know what you might want to do is write it down and have it, you can't see, but on my left, I have my pricing there. Because I have so many different offers, because I do some work with, some of you might know Simone, I do some work with him. We've got one pricing for that. Then I've got my own private coaching clients. I've got one price for that. And obviously I do HR and training, and I do 3-hour workshops. I do day-long workshops, and they're all different prices. And I can't remember everything. So I have it there. And I've actually got a new price for something else, which is just a one-off. I'm doing a September special. So if there's anybody who wants to do one-to-one with me, I'm offering £1,667 as a birthday September special. Okay. So, I have to write it down, but write down what your price is, and you be confident in your price. So I had somebody today, so I haven't even launched that because I'm launching that in September, but I had someone today who I know wants to work with me. So I said, you know what? Outside of this September special, this is how much the price will be. It starts from 2.5K. That's the bottom line. But I'm doing the September special, so you can work with me as part of that September special. And she said to me, do I have any installments or payment plans? So I said, yeah, sure. And I said, we can do the payment plan, but the payment plan has to finish before we finish our sessions together.
Sorry.
Yeah, are you okay?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. And then she's come back to me and she said, oh, do I do like mates rates or family discounts? And first of all, I was thinking, first of all, you're not my mate. That's the first thing. And you're not a family member. And I already said that I've discounted it already because I'm doing this for part of my birthday. So I said to her, the value you're going to get from me will cost you way more than this. So I then broke down the value, which I'm going to show you how I did it. I broke down the value and I was looking at the cost to me, and I showed her the value to her. If she sticks with me for those 3 to 6 months, do as I say in everything, like check with me, everything, I tell her what to do, she can command much more than the investment that she's paying for me, much more. So this is the same, be clear on your pricing. And just you say the price and say that's it. You can negotiate, of course you can negotiate, but people buy into your certainty. And the price is the price. The price of this course was the price of the course. Yeah. And yes, with some people, if they've bought other programs from me, I'm not going to make them pay the full price. So you have that leverage, you have the room, but the price is the price. So I want you to be very mindful of that. And I've put here, separate your travel and any other reimbursements. I know that some people put it all together. And if you do speaking and you get paid, it's a good idea to put the speaking and your travel fees all together. But when I do for corporates, I want them to see this is the value of the content I'm delivering for your team. Outside of that, I might have to do workbooks. Outside of that, I might have to travel to you. So I might include the workbooks, but my traveling or anything like that, I let them know this is it. Because I don't know if it's going to come out of another budget spend for them. So I don't want to balloon their profit for training because I've added so much other things and they just think I'm expensive, but I separate any expenses. So if I have to go to site and they have to pay hotel and accommodation, that's happened before, I charge that separate. And actually I let them pay for that, so I don't even need to worry about. So that's what I do with them. So they know this is how much it costs to work with me for 3 hours. This is the price. Because people talk. And remember at the beginning, I was talking about when you're working in a particular industry. So I do lots of work with property. I do lots of work with media companies. Now, what if one media company refers me to somebody else and they ask what the price is, and I've told them one price and told them another? It could look a bit sticky, and I don't want to get into a pricing war. So I let them know that's the price. Yep. So how do I price? So this is the formula you use. You have to break down the value to you and the value to your customer. And I remember somebody said to me, oh, so how much do I just, charge for a workshop? I'm going to give you some figures anyway, but the price is whatever the price you want to charge. It's based on the value that you've put on it for yourself, and it's about the value that you've shown your customer. It's about the value you've put on yourself and the value that you've shown your customer. So this is what you want to be thinking about. And I've given you workbook. So this is all in the workbook. So the value to you is what is included in creating or delivering the content, the coaching, or the training. That's how I work it out. What does it include? And I literally write it down. If it's something new, I'm thinking, oh my God, I got to do research. And I know I take long at doing research. I know it's going to take me ages because I read one thing, then I'm going to read another, then I'll cross-reference and I might speak to different people. So it's all of that. Then I do a research. And do you know what? If it's something new, I go on a course. This is what I do. I go on a course. So I already have to invest in something to have a rounded knowledge of something to present to my client. So this is what I do. You don't have to invest in a course, but I will buy a short course of somewhere in terms of like people who are in the industry doing this, and, to see how they do things so that I'm well versed, because I don't know what I don't know. So I put that in terms of this is the cost to me. So there's a value. How many hours would it take you or your team? So I have a very small team. I do most of the work. I do all of my content. I don't do the design. I have a designer for that, but I put all the content together. So it takes time to do the content. And then Gladys has to put all the slides together. for this. Then if I've asked her to design the workbooks, she has to do all that. And sometimes when I go into corporates, and obviously I haven't done this for ages, but I have tangible workbooks. So then I have to pay for the cost of that, and I can, recoup that. But all of this takes hours. So I put that down in terms of my pricing. Then I talk about how does this align with your business revenue goals? So guys, I'm going to ask you this. We're going to have a very frank discussion, and I'll, if we get a chance, I will take it off the recording, because I want to find out what are your business revenue goals. I don't want to hear, oh, I want to make 100K a year. I hear this all the time, because I'm sure you could probably live well less on 100K a year. I want real revenue goals and work back. Let's divide it by the months, and then we divide it by the weeks. Then you know how much money you need to be making each week. And it's something I've done more recently, where every Sunday, I look at how much money do I need to make this week? How much money? And I looked at this yesterday, and so far this week, I've made £792. £792. Oh, and then when I get this clarity one, once I eventually get the money, I add that $45 or whatever it is to it. So that's what I've just made this week, money in the bank. Now, I don't make this all the time. It goes up, it goes down, but I have a revenue goal that I want to meet each month. So it's working towards that. So that's what I want to talk to you about. And what would make you feel like this was a good return for your efforts? This is now down to you. If you know that you're really good at putting your surveys together, working with people, and you get results, and you will feel, what's the word? There's a word for it, but you're not going to feel totally at ease if you charge a very, very, very low amount for the effort you're going to put in. So you want to, when you write that figure on paper, and I always write my figures down on paper. When I did this, when I put this course together, 1,200, it was for the group, and I put a 997 discount. I had to feel confident in that 997. I had to feel confident in that. I had to feel confident in that. And I wrote it down, and I just sat with it. And I just thought, no, but actually, I know the amount of value I give to people. And I know that people can contact me if they need any help. And all the external stuff that I do is worth more than 997. And the fact that it's 3 months and it's extended to another 3 months where you can come in anytime, and we can have Q&A sessions, we can have role plays. It's more than that. So I know I felt relaxed. I felt good at charging what I charged. So my question to you is, you need to feel comfortable at the figure you're charging. And it's less about, can people afford it? That's not the question. And that's, oh, thank you, my darling. It's not whether people can afford it, because if people want it, they will find the money for it. They will find the money. And I can charge what I charge here because I charge corporates way more than that. So that can subsidize what I charge for you guys. All right. So that's the value to you, value to me. All right. As the supplier. Adrian, is there anything you want to add in here before I move slides? Is he there?
I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to add in?
I definitely like what you're saying. Again, you have to have some consideration about which person or which organization you are pricing to. So just as Michelle just said, the price that you might do to an individual might be slightly different to what you do to a corporation or a small corporation. I think we need to price accordingly sometimes as well, because as was said, the scale of what you put down on paper, people are judging you by. Not that it's a bad thing, it's a good thing. But, if you was to charge for a course to an individual 997, as we've just taken up, yeah, that same course to a larger corporate might be 9997 because of the scale of what you're putting down and what they normally pay as well. But we can go into a bit of detail about that a bit later. But we need to consider, what does the market pay for who they are, so and for what you're doing, and how you price that up. And also as well, I think as well, when you're building up your cost, there's things that you need to pick up. You need to pick up, yes, how much does it cost for them to replicate or try and replicate what you're providing for them? That will give you one figure as well. And also, we can talk about this slightly a bit later, but have you taken feedback from your market? Nice. Because that will give you some indications as well, but we can talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, so I love that, Adrian. And it leads to this, now looking at the value to the customer. So what is the monetary value to the customer? What will they get out of it? And these are, there's a way that you question it in terms of your conversations to find out. And if you look in your workbooks, I've put a list of questions together. What would this mean to the organization if I can do this? Remember, you want to move from asking the surface levels to those deeper questions, because that's where the value is beneath the surface. What would they pay for someone to do this in-house? This is another question. You don't need to pose this as a question, but you can do some research on that as well to find out if they had to get someone in to do what you're doing, and then they have to pay NI, they've got to pay tax, they've got to pay private healthcare, they've got to pension, lots of stuff they have to pay. How much would it cost the company? Plus the recruitment fees, which start from around 15 to 20% of whatever the cost of that role is. All of this they will have to take into account. So this is why they want to hire you, because you're already well versed in this area. So they know they're going to have to pay a premium for your expertise, because you can hit the ground running. This is really important. So what is the comparative value to similar offers? So what else is out there? So this is similar to what Adrian was saying, benchmarking. Does this seem like it's similar to what other offers? Is it way out? All of those things you want to bear in mind. And what is the value impact to the customer? So this is where, if you implement your strategy, your intervention, your coaching, your training, whatever it is, the results of that, will you have lower turnover? Will you be reducing cost? Or will you have happier staff? That means they'll have more productive staff, and higher productivity means you get more money in the business. That's where the real value lies. So they may pay you 3, 4, 5K, but the value that they get is way more than that. So that's what you want to bear in mind. Go for it.
I just want to jump in on that. What we're talking about here is focus as well, because the focus wants to be on the value that they're going to get from taking up your services, and also the cost of them not taking up your services as well. That comes in as well. So there might be, for example, it might cost them, whatever the problem is you're solving, it might cost them £2,000 a month, as an example, or £10,000 a month. So if you extrapolate that over the cost of a year, that could be what, £24,000 a year or £120,000 a year. So them paying you £10,000 is much more beneficial to them and seen as value than them losing 124K or whatever it is. And it's about focus. So it's about, it will cost them more not to have you. So it helps within your proposal.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And I think that's one of the questions I put in the workbook. What would it cost them not to have you? And that's a question that you can ask.
This is what you do in discovery, actually, isn't it? Because you're going to, when you're talking to them about what is it costing you for whatever the issue is, in your discovery, that's a question so that you know how to price a little bit later, because you're going to take that information and translate that into your proposal.
Yeah, love it, love it. And so this works really well with this scenario. So here's the scenario. Leadership coach providing 1-day hands-on coaching workshop called the Competency and Behavior-Based Coaching for Results. So I'm giving you a scenario. So the outcomes are that managers will identify key behaviors that drive change and impact. They will develop tools, templates, scripts to support leadership transition, role play and develop skills in leading behavior-based coaching conversations, and develop a 30-day plan to develop all team leads in their department. So typically, this is something that I've done. Yeah, so I've just picked it out. So it could be something like this, where you list the outcomes, because then you're going to now see for yourself how much it will cost you to put all of that together to make sure they get those outcomes. So this is what happens. The value to me, it will take me roughly between 8 to 10 hours of prep time. I lied not to you. I do a lot of preparation. And so I've already worked it out. It can take, and it's because I'm not always focused, if I'm honest, but if you're focused, it might take you less time. Like 10 hours in prep time for the presentation. And that's the whole training. 6 hours probably to create this 30-day leadership plan, because I go through different variations, different scenarios. So I want to cover everything before I give it to the client. And probably 14 hours for creation of this analysis for high performing managers. So all of that could take me a couple of weeks, to put together. And including in there, I include the delivery time as well. So that will be in already accosted in that. And then I look at the value to the customer. So this is what I've vaguely worked out. I've worked out in terms of monetary value. Now, I don't know this to be true, but this is what I've worked out. It could cost them, in terms of value that they get back, is around £520,000 of business impact. And then I base this on if they had to get someone in-house and all the recruitment and the training and the NI. I also based it on knowledge. If they get somebody who doesn't have all the full knowledge that they need, then they might have to get additional training, or it's going to take time away. So that's time equals money. So I was putting all of that together, and then the impact of my training, the outcome, the coaches or the leaders who are going to be upskilled in their departments. What does that mean for the team? The team will be more cohesive. They'll have a stronger cultural network. I was looking at every breakdown of the value of what I will deliver. So then when I'm going in, and here's the breakdown. So our fees for the options outlined in the proposal are, so I always give 3 options, sometimes 2, but I give about 2 or 3 options, and then they can pick, but each one builds on the other. So if you just want the 1-day hands-on coaching workshop, it's going to cost you 5.5K. So you can just go with that. And I always put in like embedding sessions as a bonus. Like I'll come in, I don't need to come in, but I will check via email how it's all going. Is there anything I should be aware of? Option 2, 1-day hands-on workshop plus custom development of a behavior-based scripts and tools. So I will put a script together of the typical leadership behavioral competencies and some tools and some techniques and how they can monitor that. If you want that, it'd be 7K. Then I'll add that to that. So they get the workshop, they get the behavior-based scripts and a monthly manager individual coaching support. That'd be 12.5K. And then I'll put at the bottom, full payment is required on acceptance of their proposal. So that's how much I would charge. And they can decide, oh, 12K is not in our budget. Let's go for the 7K. And, depending on how things go, we can top up. And then I'll make sure, and then roughly I'll get my 7K or probably just under. So this is how I work out in terms of the value for me, the value for them, but I actually sell the value back to them because sometimes they don't see it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Oh, but before I do, when people say, how much should I charge for a 1-day workshop? This is just a rule of thumb. Please don't say, I'm going to charge only 2K because Michelle said so. You'll know your market, but for a small company, you could charge between 2 and 4K. Yeah, that's an average. Yeah. And this is me doing a bit of benchmarking for you to work that out. Medium and large, you want to start from around 5K. How does that sit with you guys for now? Let me know in the comments. Is that, oh my God, that's 5K? No, Michelle, I charge much more than that. Then good for you. And I'm supporting you and cheering you from the sidelines. If you're charging way under, let me know. What's coming up for you guys? Put some comments in there. Let me know.
Well, I'm waiting for the comments.
Go for it.
I just wanted to comment, and as well, what you want to consider is the number of people that you're delivering this for.
Yes.
Yeah, because you could be doing this for 1 or 2 people, or you could be doing it for 50 people. So the bigger the scale, the more considerations, and the more that you're going to need more workbooks. You're going to need more time if you're going to offer one-to-one time and things like that. So these are considerations that help you build up your cost or the investment that they pay. So my chat isn't updating, so I don't know if anybody.
I've just put so guys, just still put your thoughts and your views about the pricing on there. I'm going to continue because I want us to have like a Q&A at the end. So Amelia, I'm charging around 2k for corporate daily. So 2k a day, is that, Amelia? Just let me know. You can come off mute if you can, if your Wi-Fi is okay today. So yeah, it's 2k a day. That's not a lot.
No, it's not.
2k a day.
Yeah, it isn't. But what we found is looking at the market rates.
Okay.
Seems to be what the standard is. So when we tried to price above that, because we did in the beginning, it just didn't work out. And we're dealing with large multinationals, even at most of our clients are quite large corporate entities, but that seems to be the standard, even if it's for something like a UN agency. This is the price range.
Can I ask, what do you define as a day?
So for us, a day is 6 hours.
Okay, that's fine. So I mean, and the market that you're in, I think that you're right. You do have to benchmark against what is happening within your market, and in different countries they pay differently depending on where they are. So I think that's relative to where you're doing it as well. Yeah. So which I do appreciate.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm going to push back on that, Adrian. Do you know why I'm going to push back? Because I always, like you say, I always look at the benchmark and price myself around that. But remember, the benchmark is literally those who are doing the same thing, is the average.
In the middle. In
the middle. So yeah. Amelia, I would challenge you to have a look at the service you're providing. Is it average? Or are you going over and beyond? In that case, you can charge more. And then they shouldn't be buying you because you're average. They shouldn't be buying you because you're the cheapest of the bunch. I want to challenge you in terms of your delivery of your service. And I can guarantee that you're doing a brilliant job, and you're probably going over and beyond. And 6 hours at 2k, it feels low to me. And obviously you're in a different part of the world, so like you said, it's the average. But are you providing an average service? That's the question. If you are,
what's that? We're definitely providing value. I think when you come to our market, when it comes to purely consultancy-based human capital support, we are definitely leaders in the market. Even so far as we are very young on the market, we are still one of the best. We've really taken our market shares and we're doing well in that regard. It's just, I could give an example. So there was a recent client that we had somebody on the inside who could share that information with us about how much the contract was worth. And I just benchmarked it at 5,000. And that was exactly what their number was. Except when you look at exactly what they wanted, the work attached to it, because it took at least in hours, maybe 40 hours of prep time over some months to get to that point, then deliver the training. And then it was a 2-day training. Then after that was done, we would have to wait 3 months to do a feedback session with the team. And that was 5K. So you can see like how they're pricing. Yeah. And this was for a UN agency. So it's a bit.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I guess it comes down to as well, you see, if you stay in the rut of always pricing it as it is, you'll never grow as a brand. You might grow in reputation, but you'll never make money. You never make money. And especially when you've got a team of people that I know that you do have, and you're all working around the clock, and then the take home is 5K. And then once you take away tax, remember, you've got to take away tax out of that 5K. 5K is what you've charged. 5K is not what you get in your pocket.
No, 5K, we generally price excluding all taxes, all
Oh,
travel,
okay.
all of that is exclusive.
Brilliant, brilliant. So that's good. So effectively you might have a model. Well, it's 5K and then there's taxes. But so like in the UK, we would charge them. Like if we say we charge them 5K, we'll never actually get 5K in our accounts because through our accounting systems it takes away the taxes already. So you're already not even charging 5K. So I like the fact that you separate it. But I would challenge you. I would definitely challenge you to even if you do it gradually, to up your prices just slightly, because like you said, if you're leaders in the field, then you cannot be charging the average price as everybody else. And it's a test. It's a test to see if people will buy it at that price. And like Janine has said, if you articulate the value to them, remember, you're not a commodity. You're not a commodity. So it shouldn't be priced because you're the cheapest. It's the value they're going to get out of it, and the way that you deliver, giving them the Rolls Royce treatment. You can see a change in the team dynamics. There's got to be tangible results. So it can't be, results that they can't see. You want to share some of the tangible results as well. So we've got a question. So Janine, over to you. You can ask your question, then I'll continue.
Okay, I just have a quick question about a scenario or a proposal that I'm working on now that I need to submit this week.
Yes.
So the company wants me to do 3 talks, like basically deliver the same talk 3 times to cover off different time zones because it's a global company. So, and there's various different aspects of work that I'm going to be proposing against in this one proposal. But for the talks, I'm kind of like, do I price it like 1 talk times 3, or do I think of it more like a day rate? Because when I deliver the talk the first time, obviously I've got to do all the prep, but then when I deliver it the second time and the third time, I'm just delivering the same talk. I might, depending on, I'll find out about like locations, because there may be some tweaks that I would make. Say I'm speaking to the Asian region versus America, there might be some tweaks that I'd make to the presentation to make it relevant to them. But really, I'm not going to be spending the same amount of time. So I just wanted your thoughts on how best to price it, because I'm going to be, they said I could do it in 1 day, or if I wanted to spread it across 2 days. So I'm going to do 2 of the talks on 1 day and 1 of the talks the next day. But realistically, if I'm doing a talk in the morning, it's like 7 to 8 a.m. and then lunchtime, I can't do anything else that whole like morning, and I'll probably be really tired of the afternoon.
Sorry.
And then the next day I'm going to do the talk in the evening. So I'm then thinking, I don't want to just think of it as, oh, I'm just going on for 90 minutes to do a talk, because there's prep before, there's going to be hangover time afterwards. So do I block it out as days and then price that way? Or do I think of it as like the talks?
Interesting. Adrian, what's your view on that? I'm thinking of a day rate, but I love
it's all right, let me ask a question. Have you had a discovery question with them about budget?
See, I've had the conversation with them, but I didn't ask about budget. And so basically the person that has brought me in or is bringing me in, I did a talk for them before, and they were at a previous company. But the price that I charged for that talk before is not the price that I'm going to be charging now, because it was
Are they aware of that?
No, like we haven't had a conversation about money.
Okay. All right. So right, okay, from a buyer's point of view, let me tell you what the buyer is going to look for. The buyer is going to have a budget in mind, for this, and they probably have been guided somewhat by the person that you're talking to. Yeah, they probably would have asked the question, how much did it cost last time? Yeah, it's not unlikely. So if I appreciate that your prices have gone up. If you did 3 times the cost of last time to demonstrate this is how much it is, that's one way you can do it. And that's a budget. Or you can use your new costs and demonstrate how much it would cost, and maybe negotiate down in between, somewhere between your old price and your new price, because they're going to be working with something in their mind already.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm really honest. And do you know what? Even before you put in a proposal, I would still say it's not too late to have a conversation about budget.
Yeah, because the way that it worked is we had a conversation. She talked about all of the different things that we could do. I sent her an email, like summarizing based on what we said. These are the things that we talked about. I could support you around.
Yep.
And then she came back and said, let's start with these things. So there was like 3 out of the 5.
Right.
And then they've already asked about dates and times that I'm available.
Right.
I said, like, thanks for this. I'll come back to you like with a proposal in relation to the above. So I guess I could, like, because I said I'm preparing the proposal to send to them this week, I could drop her a line and say, ballpark, like, what is the budget?
You could do, yeah, because you've got an in. If there's somebody that's already favourable with you and you can have that conversation with them, I would say use it. You don't have to work in the blind, and have an. But if you was completely blind and you hadn't had that conversation, maybe it might be. I do say to people, sometimes it's easier than trying to put just like this proposal in the air where you're not too sure. Just schedule a conversation saying, we're kind of having a conversation at the moment. This is what you've picked. Roughly, this is what I charge. Is this in line with your budget expectations? And they'll give you some feedback. This is the word about feedback. Yeah, they'll give you some feedback around that to say, oh, this is too high or too low or what have you. Some people will say it's too low because they're thinking, oh, I can have A, B, and C as well. if they've got a, but this is also about how you display your pricing. Like Michelle was saying, you know, she gave you the three options that they could pick up, and they might say, oh, okay, we can work with this. It's I would say, if you can, have a quick conversation with your friend and say, have you already spoken to them about costing? Because then she'll tell you, or he'll tell you, yeah, well, I gave them the price that you charged us last time, and then you've got an idea.
I think she's actually because she's like the head of people, so she's the person who will be saying yes or no. Right.
Okay. So and last time, what you charged them, was that for one session?
Yeah. So last time it was a 45-minute talk. No, I think it was like, was it 45 minutes? Yeah, 45 minutes altogether, and I charged them $1,000, and that was like a one-off. Like presentation to their global team. For Global Development Day. And then what I was thinking this time is I would charge $2,000 for the talk, and then I'll be delivering that 3 times. And then they also want me to run a focus group.
So there's more.
Do a lunch and learn session. And so I talked to Michelle about like packaging all together.
So there's more.
Initially, we were thinking about packaging all the things we talked about, but it looks like they want to lead with the 3 things. And then later on, like, see where we go.
Right. So when you said $2,000, was that $2,000 for the one session or $2,000 for all 3? What are you saying?
No, I'm saying $2,000 for the one session. So then
I agree.
Do I times that by 3 and just say 6? Or do I think of it more like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to be doing the value. I don't know. I was getting confused, basically.
Okay, don't be. Well, I understand, because it is a scary thing sometimes for people. I would say have the conversation with them and say, look, last time I did it was, I don't know how many years ago. This is how much it. Okay, so last year when I did it, it cost this one per session. We're booking 3 sessions. This is what I can do it for, and just be, and I don't know. Do you want to do it at 1,500 each? Would that be each session? How does that sit with you? Or if you want to do $2,000 per session and that sits better with you, be confident.
Yeah, because it does come down to whatever number you say, you have to say it with certainty.
With your chest.
That's say it with your whole chest, as my mum would say. Say it with your chest.
Absolutely.
And then allow them to come back to you and say, oh God, that's too much.
That's right.
Or whatever. So, but like you said, explain the value. Don't let them think it's just a talk.
That's right.
Because this is the problem. If they just see it as just a talk, they're going to be like, what? $2,000 per talk. So what you have to remind them is the time, let them see the time it will take for you to do it, and that you can't book anything else throughout the day. That's but right. Then you say, but also the value to them. Yeah. You say, if 1, 2, 3, how many people actually follow through on my talk, this is what can happen. And you let them know, list that so they can see it.
Focus.
Because I can guarantee right now they're just seeing it as a talk. But you have to show them why it's not just a talk. So look at this, create the value. You have to create the value, then promote the value. So you're almost saying, you're reminding them what the value is, and you must make sure you create an equitable fee for the value that you're providing.
That's right.
That's what you do. So in my head, I'm thinking 1.5K for each talk, but that's probably what I would say. So maybe it's less than your 2K, but for me, I'm thinking, as I'm saying it, I was thinking that I feel comfortable. I can say that figure. That's the figure it is. So whatever figure you go with, you've got to be confident in it and be prepared. They might want to push back, which is fine. It's just like the proposal I put in. I charged them 15K and they pushed back because they said to me they didn't have a budget. But yet when I presented 15K, all of a sudden they have a budget. So you have to give them a figure sometimes to work with.
Agreed.
You've got to give them a figure. And so now we've come back and now they want a short 3-hour workshop. And on the spot, I told her it's going to start from 2.5K.
That's right.
So they knew it straight away. I said, I don't need to do a proposal, but they still wanted me to write it down. I'll write it down. And I gave her half a page of information and say for the 3-hour workshop, these are the outcomes. The outcomes, this is the value of the outcomes. It's a 2.5K package. That's it. Yeah. And she sent me a message today. Thank you so much. We love it.
Brilliant. And do you know what I like about what you did there as well? Is you seeded that thought in their minds prior to putting something down on paper. Yeah. So right from the beginning, you say, it's going to start at A, B, and C, but we can build. They know that there's some flexibility as into what's going in or what's coming out from that time that you start there. So Janine, I'd suggest, I mean, it seems like the person that you're talking to is somebody that's quite amiable to you. So I agree with Michelle. You probably want to look at the 1,500 per session, because that's quite easy to demonstrate. One, it's not last year, it's this year now. So the prices have gone up, your value you're giving is more, and you're doing it 3 times.
Yeah.
You know, so you're not making up anything, you're just doing it 3 times. This is what it costs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I like that. And we'll have time to take some more questions and answers at the end. So guys, what I want you to always think about, when you're having these conversations, they may want something, and then but what you're selling to them is what they really need. You're going to give them what they want and sell them what they need effectively. Yeah. And that's what we call the value distance. And it's your job to bridge that distance between what they want. And like I said before, sometimes they're not even 100% clear on what they want until they hear something from you. So you need to give them something sometimes to start with for them to say, yes, this is the way I'm going, or no, this is not the right thing. So here are a few questions that you can consider. And I've put this in your workbook so you can just copy and paste it. What will these results mean for your organization or your department or whoever you're speaking to? How would you assess the return on action, the action return? So whether it's return on assets, whether you're selling products, or on sales, return on investment. You want to ask, what is the return? If I do the work and we do a good job, what is the return that you're likely to get? You know, what is the outcome of the team that I'm working with, or the leaders I'm working with? What is likely to happen? And let them say it. So don't preempt them. Don't answer for them, let them answer it, because everything they say, you're going to write it down, everything they say. How will these results impact the bottom line? How's it going to impact just the normal employees? Will my leadership training, will it trickle down to the employees, to the admin staff? What will they get out of it? So this is really important. And what would be the extent of the improvement or the correction that's meant to say? What are the intangible impacts? And remember earlier I was talking about tangible stuff. This is the intangible. Will people feel a sense of well-being? Will they feel that, yes, the company trusts, I can trust this company? When I go in and I deliver D&I and they were just saying, oh, can we just do one D&I training? I always say to them, how on earth will that trickle throughout the organization? And how on earth can you build a level of trust with the diverse sectors in your business if you're having just one session, 1 3-hour session with me? So these are the intangibles. How will they feel? And I put happiness in there for Rona. How would you personally, and this is now to them, how would you personally be better off or better supported? Because I'm going to show you that there's company objectives and then there's the personal objectives. What is the scope of the impact on the customers? Now we're thinking beyond just the employees. If I work with you to improve your diversity, it must have an impact on your vendors. It must have an impact on your supply chain, because I want you then to have a statement on your website to say, we'll only work with organizations that have signed the diversity charter, or we'll only work with organizations who have a strong belief and are active in diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging, because this is what we stand for. So I make sure I'm not just there to support that organization, but I want the organization to put a stake in the ground so their vendors know about it, their suppliers, their stakeholders, the board members are a part of it. Because now, can you see how the value is now increasing? So when I'm going to give them a figure, they shouldn't be shocked at the figure, because I'm asking all these questions. They're telling me all the answers. So they're telling me what the value is. They're telling me what the value is to them. So what would that mean in savings, improvements, revenues, profits, growth, all of that? But you don't need to ask them all this question. You pick which ones will be relevant. How important is this compared to your overall responsibilities? And a really important question, what if it fails? So this is like, what if we don't do anything about it? What if it fails? What will it cost the business if this fails? So these are the typical questions that you want to keep asking in the back of your mind. And this, I put this image in because I want you to make sure that your value lies in your speed of implementation.
That's exactly right.
Because there's only you and your small little team. There's no hierarchy. So you tell them, I can do all what you want and I can do it quickly. That's right. You don't want things done quickly. You're going to do it properly, but quickly. There'll be minimal disruption to your team. There'll be minimal disruption to your procedures, because I can come in, I can sit with your team. When I do my HR consultancy, I say to them, there's like one of my companies, I say, as part of the retained package, I'll come in once a month and I'll do my own work from your office, because me being present, people will come to me and ask me questions. They can, if they've got any issues around their contracts or anything, they can ask me, but I'll be there. So I say minimal disruption. So what I do a week ahead, I let them know, and I said, just have a desk for me anywhere. And I don't need anything because I'll bring my own laptop, and I sit there quiet in my corner. And then I'll see people come over. Oh, Michelle, can I have a word with you? Sure, let's go into the boardroom. Minimal disruption, and you can have that control. We will control everything, so you don't need to worry. We will, and if you want to be in control, that's fine. So you remind them of these little things that you can do. Yeah?
Can I also add to that as well? One thing that's very, very important, especially the larger the corporate they get, is the timeline of delivery, as you said. Yes. Yeah, they are, it's not a standalone project. It's normally linked to something or an outcome that they're trying to do. And so you demonstrating that you can deliver it, and even earlier than what they require, it adds value. So if you can show a timeline, if you can show, I can do this within this period of time, and then the onus is upon them to actually get you in as quick as possible, because the quicker you're in, the quicker it's delivered, and the quicker their outcome happens. Love it. Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. And it's so true. Time is money for these organizations. Time is money. So, talking about the speed of implementation, well, it's going to be really helpful. And I put this slide here because I want you to be reminded of the value that you bring. And so this is what you bring to an existing customer. So remember, you already have customers that you continually have to serve and provide value to, because each time you might have someone now who's on a retainer, or then you might have another package you can sell to them. You want to make it extremely clear to them the role you have played in the success of a project.
That's correct.
So I have to remind my clients, because sometimes they forget, they do forget, and I have to remind them, actually, those policies that I put together for GDPR for you 2 years ago, and I've updated for you last year, this is why you're protected. And so if you get a subject access request, I've already told you how to do it. I've shown you, I've done a video for it. I have to remind them, and I remind them of the cost that I've saved them. If you didn't have me who did this, that person who's asked for all their data now, they can take it further because you don't have any policies in place. So I have to remind them, because it's easy for people to forget the value, your existing customers. And with prospect buyers, you want to inform them of what they can expect, derived by testimonials, case studies, and references. So this is where the credibility factor comes in. So let's say if you've never worked for a corporate before, you can still bring in testimonials of other people. This is what I did for that brand. This is what I've done for this person. This is what I've done for this organization. So it's reminding you that I'm good at what I do. This is why I can afford to charge so much. So even for Janine and for anyone else, if you're doing any talks, let them know about some of the talks you did before and the feedback you had.
Exactly.
And the feedback. So when I did my Amazon talk, I asked them specifically, I would like feedback, and I would like to hear what some of the people in the audience thought and the event organizers. And she sent them back to me, because now when I go into Amazon again, and I can say, this is the talk I delivered, and this person did this on the back of it. This person did that. So they can see tangible results. So they know the value that I bring, and they know when I'm charging what I'm charging, it makes sense. It's got to make sense. Yeah. So this is what I want to end with this slide, and we can go into some Q&As. Remember, every business objective has a personal objective. If you're speaking to somebody and they want to bring you in to help reduce turnover in some shape or form, their personal objective is they're fed up and tired of doing all these interviews. That's their personal objective. Your role is to help reduce turnover, but you're helping their personal objectives as well. If you're going in to help increase profits, their personal objective is, my bonus relies on exceeding our profit goals. So this is why they want, and you want to find out what their personal objectives are, because it gets you in. I tell you, it gets you in quicker. When I'm talking to the people, I want to hear what their company objectives are, or the department, and I always find out for them, what does that mean for you? So if I come in and able to do that, I did something for a record label, and I said to her, if I can come in and do this leadership training for the managers, and the CEO was included, what does that mean for you? And she goes, Michelle, it will make me look so good. And I said, okay, well, I'm here to make you look good. Tell me what I need to know. And that's how I got in. And that's how I managed to do the training for them, because I wanted to understand her personal objectives. Same with teamwork, improving teamwork. You know, that's, I have having to refer between T's. Please ignore that. I did this very, very late. I don't know what it's meant to be. Improve diversity. And that's probably because they want to get a voice at the table. What does that look like for them? They want to improve diversity, inclusion. And part of their personal objective might mean, you know what, Michelle, I want to be heard. If I get you in to improve our diversity activities around here, probably I'll get heard. So always look at the personal objectives as well as the business or the company objectives. Yeah. So guys, let me see what the next slide is. Okay. So yeah. So the next slide is talking about not next week, the week after, we're going to link the pricing with licensing and retainers. So I'm going to stop sharing for now. Questions. Let me take any questions you have around pricing, what's coming up for you, how you're feeling. And then I want to do a very short exercise before we finish. What's coming up for you? Any questions? Feel free to come off mute.
Hi, Michelle. Hiya. You mentioned a rule of thumb day rate, sort of a range.
Yes, a range.
What if you were doing something for, say, I don't know, a couple hours or 3 hours? What would the rule of thumb be? Would it be half of that because it's half a day, or how would you?
So I based that figure, that could be a day rate, or it could be a half a day rate, to be fair, because those figures, but the small company, I put 2 to 4K, didn't I?
Yeah.
And depending on the type of company and what you're going in to do, my half day is 3 hours. My full day is 5 hours. I don't want to do 6 hours. So it's 5. And I let them know it's got to be between that time and that time. And I will set the price as 2K, 2.5K for half a day. But I can do that because I feel confident that I've built up enough credibility to do so. So I will go back and challenge you. If you were doing half a day, let's say, what would you do for half a day for a company? You tell me and I can give you a figure.
So half a day for a company, I could do a workshop in half a day. A happiness workshop, increasing their happiness, giving them various strategies as well. And that could all be in that half a day section.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything else that you will offer them? So you'll deliver the workshop. What else could you offer them?
It would be for half a day. That's what would be included in half a day. If they wanted more, it would be additional, one-to-one coaching with any of their staff. Mm-hmm. I could also do surveys and reports, reporting on that information, mm-hmm. And analysis. So,
how long is half a day for you? Sorry, is that how many hours?
3 hours.
Okay, so yeah, I would say you charge your half a day rate, as you're saying, and if you want to, you've got the options to add on to that as well, haven't you? As you're saying, so if you wanted to, and how much are you charging for your half a day? Let's just clarify that. How much are you charging?
Right. Okay. So for me, I would do half a day at about 900.
3 hours, 900. I suppose it's relative. I think that's fair. You can go higher. I don't see why you couldn't go higher. And you could offer an add-on which would allow that. For example, here's an add-on that you could add. If you said that you give them a free audit, once they've had the value of your 3 hours, what comes out of that audit is other options for them to take up. So, you could deliver something to them and then they might say, well, that was very good. How do I take the next step? If that makes sense, you're leading them onto something, but that's an option. Okay, I'll let Michelle answer and then let you think about that.
So tell me, if you were working with some entrepreneurs who are in business and they worked with you for half a day, how much would you charge them?
I haven't done that calculation, Michelle.
Because I'm looking at the figure, so that's like £300 an hour. That will typically what you could charge like an entrepreneur. So I'm thinking as an organization, having done your research, finding out about the organization, I would think they might think that's quite cheap. I think this is just, because I don't know what the company is, but I think they may think it's quite cheap and they may think, what's £900? That's not even £1,000. That's not even £1,000. So this is what I'm thinking without doing any research into the company. But I think you should have a very bottom baseline, and everybody should have a baseline. You should have one figure that you'll never go under. Never go under. So 900 might be yours, or you could just round it up and make it £1,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
Grand is your very bottom baseline. That's non-negotiable. You won't get out of bed for £1,000.
That's right.
And like Janine said, think about your prep time as well, how long it will take you to do, then the delivery time, then you've got to think about the impact and what does happiness lead to. So don't just look at it that I'm just delivering a training on Zoom.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not
think about that.
They're not also paying for your Zoom, your training time. They're not paying for that. They're paying for everything that it took for you to get to that paying time. So you've been doing what you've been doing for a number of years. Mm-hmm. That's also part of the investment that they're paying for. So remember, you are valuable as well. What you've invested into yourself, the time it took to pull this together, the delivery time, the prep time, your education time, that's also involved in that. That's to you, I'm saying. Yeah. So also don't undervalue what it took for you to get to where you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I would definitely have a look at what types of companies you're targeting with that, and base it also on a conversation with them. Base it on the research in terms of the type of organization. So if you know they're an organization that has money and then you're going with £900, it won't sit right. It won't sit right. So definitely do some checks around there.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Definitely. Any other questions?
Okay, so I don't know if mine is a question per se, but it's a bit of a conundrum I've been trying to reason through the last week. So I made contact with a department head, and we had a discovery session, and he wanted to engage our services for his team. Now it's a very small team, and it's in the lottery kind of business. And the team altogether is 5 people, but there are maybe 3-4 years experience. They are not highly experienced people. But the department head was adamant that he felt that they would benefit greatly from some kind of career coaching support so that they would have some clarity about what the prospects are for them. So he put us in contact with the group HR manager with the recommendation that he has identified this need within his department, and this is what he would like for the HR manager to continue with. Except she also said that the most pressing need for the organization at the moment is a salary structure survey and benchmarking and that. And that's something we can offer. So I guess my question is, do we let that one go to focus on this? Because the HR manager, who seems to be the one who gets to make the final call, is saying, I don't see why this young group of people would need this, but this is a need. If you can do it, I will give that to you. How do I not lose both?
I say go with the priority. I'm not saying put it down. Priority is something that's going to be turned on to them already. And if you can help with that, you've got the other ability to deliver the other piece of work as well. But I'm not saying give up on the other piece of work, but they're giving you feedback as into what's a priority, as into where they want to spend money and where they will spend money. And if it's within your gift to do so, and you can provide it, I would suggest that's a low-hanging fruit. You know, they're telling you this is what we want to do. This is a priority. Why don't you meet their priority earlier than they can think? And then you can say at the same time, once they see that, you can say, well, you know, I can give you this as well as an option. That's something that can come as an upsell, and you built trust with the organization and reputation and what have you. But the priority that they're telling you they're going to pay for, that's one thing that they're giving you a strong hint.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so go, like Adrian said, just go with what they want initially, and then you know, you can always upsell another service to them. Definitely.
Thank you.
Good. Rishi?
Yeah, hi Michelle, hi Adrian. I wanted to ask about, I'm going to have a conversation with one of the global academic heads of Infosys. They invest quite a lot in education and all of that stuff. And so I don't know whether they invest in STEM and all. I'm still kind of researching on that aspect, but I yet do not have the experience of kind of training those set of people in terms of the age and in terms of the stage, but I do have a framework which I created. So how do I talk to somebody when I do not have that experience of having done that in a corporate already? And how do I initiate that?
Can I'll jump in on this one as well, if you don't mind. So you've got experience of teaching STEM, correct?
Yeah.
And as Michelle detailed earlier, there's a bit where you're demonstrating what the value is to the organization. Yeah. And you want to be able to also show the translatable effects of what you did where else you've done it, and how it will benefit their organization. So regardless of whether or not you've done it to the same demography of people, the benefit will still be the same. It's just now you're doing it to somebody that's slightly different. But you have to be able to articulate that by showing the outcomes, the value, what the benefit is for the organization that you did it for before, and if it's something like that for them as well. But remember as well, this thing as well. You're doing discovery. You don't have to do all the discovery in the first call.
Okay.
You remember, you're building a relationship. Don't always assume that you have to jump from you explaining what you can do and trying to get a proposal out of that first meeting. Just like Amelia was giving some indication, they might have some priorities which might come from this discovery call. They might indicate that to you, which might be something you can do quite easily or add to a service or bespoke something for them. But that's me coming from a buyer's point of view.
Yeah, I like that. I like that response. I like that response. You just show them and because we all have to start somewhere, right? We have to have our first client somewhere. So I think you have to stand in confidence in your ability that you know you can do this. And although you haven't done it for this industry, it's something you've done before. You can rely on the results on that. And it's just transferable skills. When I see CVs all the time, and I see, like, I'm hiring for a charity at the moment, and this other person hasn't worked in charity, but I can see there's transferable skills. And that's it's the same thing. It's transferable skills. That's fine, Linda, that you can utilize. So I would say, definitely still go for it.
Absolutely.
And people buy into your certainty, Rushi. Trust me, they buy into your certainty. I'll give you a good example. I heard you today, Rushi, on the speed networking. And I was like, girl, you just came across, you were so confident, so certain. And do you know what? Which really surprised me, because sometimes I feel that sometimes you might be not shy, but a bit more reserved. But when I hear you speak and you introduce yourself, you talk about what you do, I have so much certainty that you know your shit. Let's just keep it real. Yes, you know your stuff. I'm just and I feel confident that if I was to work with Rushi, she's going to help me improve in my maths and in my engineering. I just know I have confidence. That's what people buy into. They're buying in the certainty. So this is for everybody. It doesn't matter what price point, it's their right to negotiate, and it's your right to be certain in whatever figure you're going to be across, to set across, but be confident in it. Be confident in it.
Agreed.
Can I? Yeah, go for it.
And I'm going to add to that.
Exercise.
Yeah, and when you have that conversation, if you do get to this point where you're saying, there's price or somebody's having a conversation, don't be afraid of silence, because that's where a lot of us break down. We're thinking, oh, it's too high or it's too low. It might be. I've had it. Everybody's had it. I remember somebody called me up one day and they asked me for some training in regards to tenders and bids, and I just raised my prices. And I was thinking, all right, should I go with the new price or the old price? And I just said it. I said, right, this is how much the price is. And I didn't say anything. And he said, okay, how do you want me to pay? That's all he said. And he goes, he says, how do you want me to pay? And I'll pay now. And
were you excited inside?
I was like, I had to kind of hold myself and just say, really? I had to stop saying that. But, it was just being honest. We all have those periods of times when, that silent point is in the negotiation. Everybody's looking at it and the sweat going down people's forehead and who's going to break first, all of that. No, just be confident. As Michelle said, this is how much it costs. You're going to deliver the outcomes that they need. It's going to be a benefit to them. It's their loss if they don't take it up. Yeah. Not yours.
Definitely. So guys, quick exercise. Just write on a piece of paper. Write down how much you want to make in a year, not to the end of this year. Let's just make
12 months.
Calendar year, yeah. Fiscal year, whatever you want to, 12 months. What is that figure? Then I want you to divide it by how many weeks you want to work in a year. And then I want you to divide it by how many hours you want to work in a week. Let me do this exercise too. Yeah. So what you want to make in a year, divide that by, what did I say? Let me just read what I wrote. Divide that by how many weeks you want to work. So there's 52 weeks in the year, and none of us want to be working 52 weeks. So 48, and then divide that by how many hours in a week. Now, I don't work on a Friday afternoon anymore.
After the weeks, Michelle, could you repeat?
And divide by hours. All right, I've got my figure. So that works out to be your hourly rate. So I want to hear what everyone's got. Go on, Amelia.
There's a bit more. I'm not done with my math yet. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Something came up, so I was answering a message.
Okay.
Some kind of comms. But for me, because we're a corporate, well, we're not a big organization, but we're a team. So there's a benchmark 40 hours a week, but Lord knows nobody works 40 hours a week. So,
you work more than 40. So just put 40 for now.
yeah.
Because yes, yeah, we know that we do put in more hours than we'd like.
For me, it is 40 weeks with 30 hours.
So you've got 40 weeks and 30 hours. Okay. And so how much, so when you divide your yearly goal, divide it by your how many weeks, your 40 weeks, and then your 30 hours, what figure do you get to? What have you got, Janine?
Mine feels low. I'm like,
I don't know. What have you got?
way more than that for an hour. So my number's 96
Yeah.
pounds an hour. So I've
What
got,
makes you think of it?
I did
Mine is
40
100.
and 25 hours a week.
25 hours a week. And what was your top goal? What was your yearly income goal?
110k.
Okay, so 110k.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Do you know what you've got to also consider as well, that if you're working weekends, but you're doing that in the hours per week, I suppose, aren't you?
Yeah, I gave myself 5 hours a day, 5 days.
Okay, good.
Nice.
Right, there you go.
Nice.
There you go.
So anything you and so remember, this will give you a rough idea. So you know that whatever you do, you cannot go lower than 96.
That's certainly right.
So now that's your not getting out of bed for.
Yeah.
That is your, do you see what I mean? So at least you've got an idea. So, you know, if something comes up and they just want an hour of your work, you know that 96 is the bottom line, and you wouldn't do it for 96 anyway, but you know that's your bottom line. And obviously this is based if you're doing hourly work, which you know we're trying to avoid the hourly work, but at least you've got a rough idea in your mind. Cool. Rushi, what's your figure? What's your hourly rate then?
That was 6 hours a week, and that came up to be 30 hours. So it's 100 per hour.
£100 an
It's a
hour.
little less if you look at it like that.
Yeah. Okay, 100 an hour. Yeah. So still around a similar mark.
Yeah.
That's good. Rona, what did you get?
I think mine is way off.
Go on.
Completely way off. So I'd be doing this alongside other, work that I do. So I've just said, I said 50,000 a year. Okay, working for 40 weeks. And because it's very much a short period that I've actually got, I only put 5 hours per week. And that's £250 per hour.
Yeah.
That's right. That's about right.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay, I know that's right with the maths.
Yeah.
But do you think that's about right? That's what I should be aiming for.
Listen, I know somebody, and they're not even that good, yeah? And they charge £500 an hour, and I'm like, what?
That's right.
What? It's whatever you want it to be, because clearly This person thinks they're worth £500 an hour. But the thing is, there's people paying £500. So who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? It's whatever you want it to be.
I think I'll amend my figures somehow.
But you might go lower, but you easily get up to there. You know what? Years ago, I was sitting on a beach. I had this solicitor call me from the UK and said, "Can I note take?" And I think, oh God, I hate note taking, but can I note take for this grievance? And he goes, "What's your figure?" And I asked my boyfriend at the time, my husband, and he goes, "Oh, don't want to do it price, just do £200 an hour." And this was years ago. And I just said to them, yeah, £200 an hour. And they said, yeah. And I got paid £200 an hour for taking notes.
That's right.
For taking notes. And I made a lot of money because I did 17 pages of notes, you know. It crippled my hand, but I got paid. Can
I talk on that? I think you're right. I'm coming from somebody that buys people per hour and buy them by day and for our projects. I know these figures that you're bringing up, you might think are low, but are high, but they're not. If we're talking about a corporate market here, yeah, I've worked with people, as you said, £500-600 an hour, £700 an hour, and I'm in the office with them all day. So you can add that up. I worked with somebody that was £3,000 a day, and I worked with him for 2 years. Right, so put that into perspective, and also you've got to consider as well, even though you might be, let's just say you were saying you're about £100 an hour. What is the benefit that you're going to give that corporate company as a result? You know, if they work with you for 2 hours, and it means that they're going to get £2,000 worth, it's worth it. Yeah. They're in profit. You know, if your hourly charge is £200, and after working with you, they make £250, they've made £50. You know, you're making profit for them, and you're making profit for yourself, and you're worth it.
Yeah, and it's there. Listen, you know what I don't know if anyone's interested, but there are some universities out here that are looking for coaches, like executive coaches. And so I do it for UCL. I get paid £300 an hour. I get paid 300, and you know, I don't even do much in the coaching sessions, if I'm really honest. You know, it's not like deep coaching. It's not even transformational, to be fair. But this is what they're willing to pay, so I'm going to take it, innit? I'm going to take it. So the figure is the figure. The figure is the figure. So guys, I'm not going to keep you any longer, but I want you to just bear these things in mind in terms of, okay, so you got your £100, the 96, 104, £250 an hour, whatever it may be, and then you just know that's your bottom line. That's your bottom line. And if people want to negotiate, it's totally up to you. No one's going to judge you either. No one was going to judge you, but at least you know what is, you know, and always have I don't want to do this price as well, whatever that price is. Absolutely. So there's stuff you're going to be asked to do and you don't really want to do it and stuff. But yeah, good. Any final questions before we round up?
I don't have a question, but I do want to say that since I started this training, since I started it, my number of discovery calls per week have just gone through the roof.
Really beautiful.
We're getting better calls, we're getting better leads with clients, the relationships have gotten much better. So I think maybe this is a testimonial of the sort. I just want to say thank you to both of you. It's been really great, and we've landed some really good deals, and some of them obviously they are larger corporates, so it will take a while to get to the point. But it's been going really well. Thank you.
That's so good. And you know, we'd love a testimonial, so I'm not saying that. And we want one each.
That's right.
But what specifically has worked well for you? So, you know, we've gone over conversations, we've done network, we've got corporate clarity. What is there any one bit for you that's, you know, stuck out, or is it a mixture of everything?
It's a mixture, but I think if I had to pick out one particular thing, you know, Irene worked in corporate She hasn't worked in a consultancy, so it was a bit of a struggle trying to grasp it. But I think participating in these sessions, she's gotten a better understanding, and even our consultants, when we go back and we're watching the videos and going through the workbooks, it gives us a better idea of how to lead that consultancy conversation, how to get the person from point A to point B, and then so that they can see the value we are offering them. And I think in the beginning, pricing was a huge challenge for us in the sense that it almost always came down to price. But right now, we've moved them further along in the conversation where it comes down to value, where they're focusing more on those things. So we want to use that momentum to build, and it's looking really well. We're actually thinking of entering Nigeria and Liberia this year. So
that's amazing. So amazing, and good for you, and thank you so much. So just keep doing what you're doing. Everybody, I think everybody's doing like so well. Just keep. And you've got, you can always go back to the videos, you can always go back to the workbooks. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a list of resources together for everybody where, we get all these emails, and some emails you just shouldn't be getting because they're wasting space. But there are some really good emails that you should get on a regular basis, because just reading some of them blows your mind. And it's just like, this is the type of language I need to be speaking. I need to be getting in with these people. And you read about all the movers and shakers in consultancies, and then you connect with them on LinkedIn. And once you're in that space, it's a whole new world. So I'm going to drop you, I'll gather some of the email resources that I get, like it comes either weekly or monthly. It's like some consulting ones. There's one called CEOs. So you could just know what's happening in industries around the world. Just keeps your mind at optimum, because how I see it, when we're dealing with entrepreneurs, we can get away with stuff a lot, but you can't get away with the corporates. Yeah. So, having your finger to the pulse and knowing what's going on, what conversation, who are the movers and shakers, it just puts you in a whole new different class. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I will gather that, and I'll send it out in email. Yeah, it's all free as well. It's just free. Just getting, top, I call it, top tier information.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thank you. I really do love the feedback, Spencer. It's great. It's really, really good feedback. And I think that this is where you talk about value. What has that made your investment, and how much is it extrapolated when you're going to, a bit further? That's what you're going to do for others. So yeah, remember that. Brilliant.
Is it worth the 997, guys? It's good. I'm glad. I'm really glad. Really good. Because we always want to overgive, and just seeing the results and hearing.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Good. Okay, guys, I will speak to you soon in a couple of weeks. As always, if there's anything you need, you've got me. And obviously, I'm always going to be putting out stuff in the Facebook group. So continue to engage, continue. I'm going to make us money, guys. I'm going to Dubai in a couple of days. I'm going to be talking to people. And I'm really speaking to somebody who's asked me, do I know any trainers, consultants who can help with a number of different stuff? They gave me a list. When I find out some more information, I'll share it with you guys, and you can just pitch directly to the guy. Good. All right. See you later.
See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.